Hello and welcome to 21st Century. I'm Daljit Dhaliwal. Imagine risking your life and that of your families, all for the dream of a better future. This is exactly what tens of thousands of courageous refugees from North Africa did, seeking refuge and safety after the revolutions known as the Arab Spring. Most came to Italy's shores, but they're finding achieving their dream is more difficult than they ever imagined. In the middle of the Mediterranean Sea lays the small Italian island of Lampedusa. Blessed with sandy beaches, turquoise waters and blue skies, it welcomes tourists seeking that dream vacation. But Lampedusa, a mere 70 miles from Africa, is also the target of different kind of visitors. Thousands of migrants who risked everything to embark on a desperate and dangerous journey from North Africa with no prospect of return. People like Francis and Rosalind Okoronko.
It's like your world is coming to an end. If you want to die, maybe that's how God wants you to die.
I thank God for being alive today to talk.
Rosalind and Francis are among tens of thousands of asylum seekers and refugees who, fleeing unrest, poverty or religious conflicts, have attempted the deadly crossing from North Africa to Lampedusa, seeking both safety and a better life in Europe. They came largely in an exodus in 2011 as governments across the Arab region of North Africa were toppled in what became known as the Arab Spring. Most people fled on dangerously overcrowded boats like these, dumped in plain sight after reaching the port area. Barbara Molinario works with the United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR.
Often they do not leave with sufficient supplies to reach Italy, so by the time they arrive, they have finished water and food.
UNHCR estimates that from April to September 2011 alone, almost 2,000 people died at sea. The Italian Coast Guard was on alert, circling the waters.
We saw a helicopter was rounding us, so we were like begging them.
One of the helicopters, like this one, spotted Rosalind and Francis's boat and urged a Coast Guard vessel to rescue it. Rosalind and Francis's long journey in search of safety began in 2006 in their native Nigeria, where they lived as a Christian minority in a largely Muslim region. Fearing for their lives, they fled north.
If I didn't left, maybe today I would be a dead man.
Their terrifying 3-month, 3,000-mile journey through the Sahara Desert, captured by a fellow traveller in this mobile phone footage, shows lifeless bodies of people who never made it out of the desert. The memories still haunt them.
Being in the desert, you will be prepared of even drinking your urine because you will be lack of water.
Eventually, Rosalind and Francis settled in the North African country of Libya, where their son David was born. But their dreams of safety were once again shattered when in early 2011, the country erupted into violence.
We see a lot of smoke, a lot of gunfires and bombs, so we don't know what to do.
Rounded up by Libya's army, Rosalind and Francis, like many other black Africans, were forced to flee. Packed on a boat with some 100 others, including their friend who shot this footage on his phone, they set out into the rough waters of the Mediterranean to Italy, not knowing if they would make it alive and, if they did, how they would be welcomed once ashore.
You know, being a family man, I have wife, I have baby. How can we survive?
After what Rosalind described as the longest few days of their life, they were eventually picked up by the Italian Coast Guard, just 2 of some 55,000 migrants who made it to Lampedusa following the Arab Spring. But, says the island's mayor Bernardina de Rubeyes, Lampedusa simply could not cope with the number of people flooding in, many of them needing medical attention.
They
were arriving naked or semi-naked, and we would run home quickly to get blankets or even clothes from our son's closets to cover them against the freezing cold.
Lampedusa's once more local hospital was overwhelmed and ill-equipped, and the island's 2 detention centres were soon filled to capacity.
You can only imagine the subhuman conditions of the migrants, forced to live on the streets in the winter cold, since the reception centres weren't able to cope.
As the arrivals continued from North Africa, tensions in Lampedusa grew. With an economy surviving largely on tourism, images like these of migrants flooding the streets hit television screens around the world. But while some residents blamed the migrants themselves, others, like restaurant owner Rosetta Greco, recognized that these were courageous people just trying to survive.
We, citizens of Lampedusa, didn't have anything against the migrants. We were very upset at how poorly our government had managed this crisis.
But many Italian politicians say that Italy, itself in the midst of economic turmoil, simply cannot cope with the sheer numbers of people seeking a safe haven on their shores.
Italy has been dealing with the immigration problem all by itself, especially on the financial level, with resources we are taking away from our country.
Angela Maraventano was a member of the Italian government coalition that dealt with the early 2011 immigration exodus. For every refugee, the government says it spends some 55 euros a day, adding up to tens of millions of euros a year. A large sum, agrees Francis, but money that's essential for migrants like him and his family to survive.
We only need a place we can stay and our life will be saved and we can work and take care of our family.
Now safe in this Jesuit-run shelter in Sicily, they have applied for political asylum, claiming they'd be persecuted should they be deported back to their native Nigeria. If their claim is accepted, they may be granted legal status in Italy, but because of a backlog in asylum applications, the response to their request can take several months.
Oh, my soul is crying.
Until Francis is granted asylum, he is not allowed to work, and his family's future, like that of so many other migrants here, remains in jeopardy.
I cannot continue like this to take care of my family. He's my only son. It's the only thing that God used to bless me for now.
To the